yeah, it's really cool to work when you have a commission, like now with the Way of the Panda Tarot, and when there's somebody that likes your art and says, "Hey, I want to work with you," it's like, "Oh my God, really?"
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of Deck Creator Corner. Today is really exciting because we are going to be talking about the Way of the Panda Tarot again, but this time we're going to be joined by the illustrator, Celia Libelle. And from the beginning, when I started this series, a dream of mine was to also include interviews with illustrators and interviews with possibly even editors of like guidebooks and stuff, because they're such an important part of this process, especially for those of us who aren't necessarily like artistically inclined and don't have the background that we feel like we need to create the deck. So working with illustrators and editors is such an important part of this process, and I really wanted to highlight that and highlight the hard work that these illustrators and editors put into manifesting these decks for people like me. So it's an honor to have Celia here. I think she joined in. Let me see if I can get her. I sent. Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Celia. How are you doing today?
Good.
Can you? Okay.
I think so. Yes. Yes.
I great. I'm really excited to have you here, Celia. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Of course. So before we get started, Celia, I would like to just do a quick sound healing, cleansing to just get us on the same page and like have a really nice conversation. And so everybody who's joining us is welcome to join in this breath. And so all I ask is to just close your eyes and take a few, 2 or 3 deep breaths at your own pace, just making sure that they're intentional to kind of cleanse and create safe space for us on this live. Thank you. Cool. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I always just love doing that because I feel like it helps just like let go of all the stuff, and at least for me, like I know that I get always a little bit nervous before I jump on, so I like to just like release some of that before we get started. So thank you for joining me in that, Celia. So I would like to just go ahead and get started here. I see we've got a few people joining. Kim is here. Hey, Kim. Uh, so yeah, I would just like to take a quick moment to let you just give us a quick introduction, your name, what your pronouns are, and just a couple of your aspirations as an artist.
Okay. So, well, I'm Celia Libelle. Well, Libelle is not my real name. It's just an artistic alias. I'm actually
Mm,
Celia Hernandez.
mm.
And my pronouns are she. And yeah, I'm an illustrator and a graphic designer. Actually, now I'm working as a graphic designer in a company. So it now gives me a little bit less time to draw and to paint, but that's okay. It's fine. Happy. And yeah, well, that's me. I live in Barcelona, and yeah, and that's it.
That's really exciting, Celia. I love seeing people who are just like living their authenticity. Like it's not easy to like say, I'm going to live full time as an artist and stuff. So I just love seeing that. And that's part of why I want to like create and add these interviews to this series to highlight your awesome work. Like I'm going through your page and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything she does is so beautiful. So yeah, I'm just really wanting to kind of create that space for you so people can get to know who you are, can support your work, and support your work with Kim as well. So I'm really excited that like it's not just like a side hustle for you, like this is your life, you know, this is your work. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that, Celia, a little bit about your artistic background. Like, did you go to school? Are you self-taught? And your favorite like mediums, and then maybe just a little bit about like why you picked art to like be
Yeah.
what your work is.
Okay. So I've been drawing my whole life, as yeah, as I can remember since I was a baby. I was the that person who always paints in the table at school, when I don't have paint.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been drawing and painting my whole life. I studied actually fine arts. I went to the university and studied fine arts, and there I paint and create with all the medias, or
Mm-hmm.
most all the medias. And there I decided that I wanna illustrate because that was the what made more sense to me. I tried painting, sculpture, and all different things, and I decided that illustration was my thing.
Mm.
Well, then after that, what happened is that I didn't know what to do with my life after finish the university, and I
Mm.
decided to study baking, which is
Mm.
so different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, I started working, and then I decided to paint again.
Mm.
And 2 years without painting anything, I decided that I wanted to paint again, and that's where I started for the last time since now. I mean, I've been painting since then. And the medium is what I don't know exactly why I choose watercolor. I mean, I tried oils and pastels. I mean, so many different. I used to paint. I used to draw with pencil before, but then I don't know. Watercolors is so. It feels so relaxing for me, and I love that. Create more or less intensity of the color depending on what I need in that moment.
Mm.
I don't know. It's water, the effect of the water. I don't know. It relaxes for me, and I think it what it's what feels me the most.
Yeah, I hear
I
you.
think that's why.
Watercolor evokes like a certain, like there's a certain calm and peace that comes just with the fact that you're using watercolor. Because I
Yeah,
feel like other mediums like acrylic and oil based like that, like sometimes they can be really poppy and intense. Whereas
yeah,
like in the watercolor, like everything is just calm. And this is a really interesting card to pull for talking about calm and peace. But yeah, I was just wanted to show some of the art that you did here, Celia. Look at how beautiful this is. Um, and yeah, I totally see what you mean about like blending the colors and using which colors you want to kind of highlight in the picture. Like for me, I can really see the blues and the greens in this picture. But if you look closer, like there's purples and grays and blacks, and so yeah, I love seeing what you're saying reflected in your cards and your art. Kim
yeah.
Kim was saying here, post graduation loss is real. Yes, I went through something very similar where you're really motivated in school and it's all really good, and then after you're like, what now? So that's interesting because I love seeing how you were able to kind of, I guess, move out of that, right? Because now you're living in your authenticity. You've said, you know what, I'm going to paint like this is what I want to do. Um, and so now art has really kind of come back in full force in your life. So I think that that's a really beautiful thing. And it shows the cycles, right? It's not always like all up here. Like it's not always like constantly doing things. Like it's a journey, right, of ups and downs. And so I really love that about kind of reflected in your journey. So you talked a little bit about when you were in school, that like illustration was what really kind of called to you. And so
Yeah.
like now that you're kind of you've been able to take that passion and like condense it into like a career, what is it like working as an illustrator and as an artist? Like what are like, what is that what has that been like for you?
Well, I'm more now graphic designer than artist, so it's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool to work when you have a commission, like now with the Way of the Panda Tarot, and when there's somebody that likes your art and says, "Hey, I want to work with you," it's like, "Oh my God, really? Do you like what I do?" It's amazing in this feeling.
Yeah, and it's like it just like I was saying earlier, like when you're just doing what you love, like really doing what you love, like it's just like such an authentic feeling from inside. And I'm really glad that you
Yeah.
brought that up about your kind of interaction with somebody saying, "Hey, I like your deck or your art." What was that like to like how did you meet Kim? Like what was that like for you as the artist for somebody to like come to you and be like, "Hey, I want you to illustrate my tarot deck," like how did you get with
Me and
Kim?
Kim, it was very random because in, in my from my point of view, I woke up one day and I saw a message for her through Facebook. I think I had
Mm.
a Facebook page. I don't use Facebook anymore, so I don't remember now if it's activated or not.
Yeah.
But I don't use it anymore. But she called me through Facebook, and yeah, she told me that she saw a bunch of drawings I did when I studied fine arts, and when I was studying fine arts in the university, I did some illustrations about animals with flowers and watercolors, like very
Mm.
actually. And she said, "I've seen these drawings, and I've been looking for an artist for a tarot project. Do you want to know more?" And I just woke up. It was like, what am I dreaming or what's happening? I answer and says, "Yeah, of course, tell me more, please." And this is
and then it and then it's
starting
history from here. And here we are, right?
totally.
That's so amazing. And so like what was that like for you? Like did you have any history with tarot before then? Or was that like your kind of first introduction to tarot?
Well, it was not the first introduction because my mom has a tarot deck,
Mm.
but she doesn't use it like more professionally or just
Mm.
fun. And sometimes I played with her cards, and she I don't know how to say that, but she throw me the cards,
Oh yeah, yeah. She read the cards for me, yeah.
like
She did a reading,
yes, she
yeah.
read the cards for me. Yeah, but I say not in a professional way. So I was kind of
Mm.
familiar with the cards, the major arcana, basically, not the minors, and yeah, with the names especially, but
Mm.
yeah, not with the meaning of each card.
Yeah, so for you, like as you were illustrating the process, you were kind of also like learning about each card, man. Would let yourself base your illustration on like the information and the conversations you had with Kim.
Well, it was during the information because yeah, she was she have been uh, telling me I need in this card to put this because this means this thing.
Mm.
Color means this other thing, and so I've been learning through the
Yeah,
process.
so it was more of a process. Like you didn't, or I guess my question is, did you go out and like read tarot books and articles and like learn more, or did you just learn more just from that interaction with Kim?
I learned him from the
Oh yeah,
interaction.
see, yeah, so that's a really organic, and I love that about it because that's I feel like, well, it's like two, right? Because one, you didn't really have a lot of like preconceived notions of like what each card should
Mm.
be. And so it was a lot more fluid for you to learn through Kim's lens and allow her vision to come through in that way. And I guess that really kind of leads into my next question. Like, what is it like to manifest somebody else's like vision? Like, how was that challenging for you, or were you able to like really like capitalize on the information that Kim gave you? Like, how difficult or maybe easy was that?
Okay. At least working with Kim was, well, is amazing. Best. Seriously, she's the best. And it's been making me so easy, and which I really, really, really appreciate, because tarot is it's a world that I don't know about. I don't know anything about.
Mm-hmm.
And she have made me so, so easy. Uh, what we do is that, well, she sends me a concept sketch, like very quick, and some notes. Like, for example, I want a butterfly here and blue sky. I mean, inventing it. And
Mm-hmm.
made a sketch. I sent to her, and she liked it or not. And no, put this in these, erase this, or make the panda rounded, or something like this. And and then I make the final drawing. And she gave me so many indications that
Mm.
easy for me to draw what she wants or what she's thinking, you know?
So you would say that that's appropriate, like when you want to work with an illustrator, like trying to not overwhelm them, but give them enough.
Yeah, as much information as you think it's necessary, so the illustrator can make what you're thinking.
Yeah, because that isn't necessarily super easy either. Because like with us, like we may have like a very specific idea of what
Yeah,
like we have, and so like I, as an illustrator, I'm sure like there's a little bit of like this pressure, like oh, I need to like make sure that I get this right or like it matches what she wants. But
yeah,
it sounds like with Kim, there was this like natural, like organic, like connection, and it like maybe like I don't know, did you feel that pressure like, oh, I need to get this right, or did you really just feel like organically like this is just working out?
super organically, super, super organically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And so that's what I've kind of seen reflected also just in the art, like just the fact that everything is so cohesive and coming together and stuff like it really reflects kind of in the work that you've done together. Somebody asked here in the comments, says, would you like to draw a new one? I'm assuming draw another tarot deck.
well, um, not a tarot deck maybe, but, well, I will talk about it later, I think. But Kimberly and I are working together again, so it's not a,
Ooh. Exciting. Yes, we'll definitely talk about that more later. But yes, there will be more Celia illustrations out there. So yeah, that's really awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about manifesting somebody else's vision because for me as a tarot deck creator who wants to hire out an illustrator, that's kind of been my main like struggle is figuring out like how to work effectively. Especially with somebody that I don't know, you know, because for one of my decks, I want to work with my brother for as the illustrator. But the other deck, I think I'm just going to work with like somebody I don't know and just find an artist that matches what I want. And there's a certain amount of like, I guess, anxiety on my part of like, how much should I give them or how little should I give them, how much freedom, you know? And so like, that's why like, I'm really loving this conversation. And I'm really appreciating what you're saying. And I love to see how like when it's meant to be, like there's not even like you don't have to overthink it as a creator, you know, you can just go with the flow and like find that artist that's going to flow organically with what you're doing, and
yeah,
then you won't have to worry about like all of these extra stuff or is she doing this, is she going to be able to do it. You just have the trust in your
yeah.
illustrator, and then your illustrator trusts you as the concept. And so yeah, I think that it's just really important to highlight that in this work. But I want to move on to the next couple of questions. And I have my cards here, but I wanted to ask you if off the top of your head, you had any cards that were like your favorite to illustrate, and then maybe some of them that were a little bit more challenging for you.
Yeah. Favorite, I think, or at least one of my favorites, Kimberly knows that because we've talked about it. It's the star because
Yay.
paint them. I told her like I really enjoyed painting this card. I don't know. I really like it. So calm and relaxed, and I don't know. Maybe I also was in a good mood when I painted it, and yeah, I really liked the results and the process. And yeah, this one.
The star. This is a beautiful card.
Beautiful. And also that's why Kimberly named this card Celia in the book, because I told her that I really enjoyed painting this one. And so this card's name is Celia because of me.
Oh, that's so cute. I feel like she
Yeah,
mentioned that to me,
yeah,
but I didn't know the backstory. So that because I know that I think she's named almost every panda in here, right?
yeah.
So I thought that's so sweet. She was like, "Oh, I named this one after Celia." But it's awesome
Yeah.
that this is like one of your favorite cards too.
I have a bunch of other favorite cards because now that I've finished the work and I see all the drawings. I don't know, the moon, I really loved it. Um, the death card, oh my god, I really love this card. I think it's, I don't know, it's so sweet, and
Mm.
you know,
The
I
death
thought,
card, the death card was the one that made me like. I mean, I knew I was gonna get this deck, but when I saw the death card, I was like, "Oh, I need, I need this deck in my life. I'm looking for it."
yeah. And Kimberly, that when she gave me the notes for this drawing, it immediately came to my mind a Studio Ghibli movie, and I told her
Mm.
that this super beautiful feeling, you know, and yeah, it's so sweet. I love this card as well.
Yes, I think I totally get what you said. Like when you said Studio Ghibli, immediately it like clicked in my brain. I was like, yes, that is
Really?
exactly. But so this card is just so special because it's like you have the little panda here. He's got moss growing, so he's like starting to like decompose, right? And so then this
Mm-hmm.
other panda is like contemplating what's past, but then like looking forward, right? Like on into the little flower, and I don't know, it's just this is such one of my favorite death cards. So I love that. And then look, oh, Kim says there, it's Studio Ghibli inspired Princess Mononoke vibes. Yes, I love that. That movie is one of my favorite movies, Princess Mononoke. You mentioned that the moon was one of your favorites too. I love this moon card so much. Because, and one of my favorite parts of the deck too is like that playfulness, like with this like sleeping hat, the pajama hat. Like there's always this element of like that playfulness and that joy that comes through in almost every card. There's a few cards that are like, you know what, like we've got to communicate a stronger message, but for the most part, there is this like joyful vibe to the cards that I really, really enjoy. So you said death, the star, and the moon. Did you? I can't
Of,
remember if you said any other ones.
of a lot. The full, I paid a lot of them.
That's okay. We
Uh,
can go. We can go through a few of them, and then we can go to the
the
full
card,
card. Yes,
yeah.
this is such a cute card.
I how how the background turned out. I don't know
Hmm.
the result.
Yeah, that's true. That was so watercolor is also what I'm thinking of using for my tarot. And the stars and galaxy was like one of the things that I was like, how are we gonna do that in watercolor? Like, so it was like I didn't really know how, but like I love how this turned out. Like it's a little blurry, I think, but you can really see how that like cosmic, like universal star vibe. Um,
Yeah,
really shows up. And I love the cute little red panda.
yeah. I also said High Priestess.
Oh, yes, the High Priestess. So the High Priestess was one that I saw actually on your Instagram when
Yeah.
I was going through it a while ago. Um, you that was one of the ones that you had posted, like announcing that you had some prints and stuff on Etsy,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh my God, that High Priestess, like
Yeah.
super beautiful.
And all these colors, and I know I love it.
That's what I really like about this
And
too, is that with the High Priestess, often you get like in the imagery, it's like the High Priestess, but then like behind her is like covered. It's like a mystery with the High Priestess, but in this one, it's almost like she's like in it. She's in that mystery, and like she's inviting you to go into that mystery of like your subconscious, and like it feels like she's like way more like actively part into in of the card versus a lot of other maybe less active versions of the High Priestess. So that's one aspect that I really loved about, like you mentioned, the colors, and that's what that was like the first thing I noticed about this card. I was like, oh, it's really colorful and like not as like mysterious as like other High Priestesses are, but yet it still reflects that same intuitive like hidden nature. Like there's stuff, like there's like wonders in this in these colors, you know, like things to discover. And so yeah, love this card. Love it.
thank you. You asked me also about the card that it was the harder for me
Yeah,
to.
hardest or some of the cards that were challenging for you, yeah.
I'm gonna say the strength. Kimberly
Mm.
about it because I had to make this card like 3 times. First, yeah, at the beginning, there was a lion and with the hair, it wasn't like rainbow. I don't know. And Kimberly told me to. Well, it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't inspired when I painted, and Kimberly says we already did so many times. Uh, so I redraw that lion, and after uh, weeks ago, Kimberly told me, "Do you know what? Let's change it completely. Let's do a complete." I said, "Oh my god, again!"
Again.
But it starts at the end, so I'm happy.
Yeah, oh, I mean, yeah, this is like this strength card is again one of those that are that I really appreciate for deviating from like the Rider-Waite Smith, because like
Mm-hmm.
that lion with like her trying to like open or close its mouth, you can't really tell. Um, so instead, there's this cute little like, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen the cartoon Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Yes, so they in a few of those episodes, Jerry has a little cousin who's a little musketeer.
Ah,
And that's what this reminded me of. And that little those two little mice, they would always like fight the cat, and they were really strong, and they were really, and so like that's just immediately I was like, wow, it's like Tom and Jerry. And you know, the little mouse in that cartoon always wins. Like he always beats the cat, he always outsmarts the cat, like he always uses his strengths to like his advantage. And so like that's the first thing that came to mind when I saw this card.
oh,
So I really love that, and I'm glad that you guys redid it. I know it was a lot of work, but I'm really glad. And it for me, it makes sense that strength card would be a challenging card, right? Because it's like a card that is supposed to reflect like that inner strength, and almost like a lion in the imagery. It's like a lion would eat a panda, you know. So it's like I feel like this imagery is a lot more like in alignment with like the rest of the imagery in the deck, and also just the pink colors with with like the falling flowers and stuff. That was really awesome.
totally,
So I
yes.
love this. And he's eating. So I love food too. Food gives me strength.
Also, some cards that had elements that I'm not used to draw or to paint. For example,
Mm.
as a motorbike, I never draw a motorbike before. So, how am I gonna do that? But I did in the end, and yeah, it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
the
cards.
is that the chariot card?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the chariot card. I'm looking for it so I can show people here. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought of that aspect of like um your illustrator may not be familiar with like what you're asking them to draw, you know, like that's another thing to like consider. But yeah, here's that card that you were talking about. I don't think anybody would have guessed that you'd never drawn a motorbike before because it looks great, Celia.
And
I do
yeah,
really love
with
this
Kim,
card.
thanks. And with Kimberly, it's it's like this, and it's awesome because yeah, she told me like draw a panda in a motorcycle, and I thought, and then it turns out I can do it, so it's amazing.
Well, and I love, especially in this illustration, I love that like it's a panda on a motorbike, but then it's like a double whammy because he has the wings and like this little headdress that makes me think he's gonna fly. So it's like a combination of like riding but also flying. And like I love how you were able to capture both of those actions. Like
Hmm.
he could be flying. Like that could he could be riding on like a cloud, you know, like
Hmm.
if you choose to see it that way, like there's no real definition of like what the ground is. And so I love that about this image where it like has that like it's almost that mysterious like you can get there through your own means, but everybody is unique, right? Like some people may ride there, some people may fly there. Like it's like what use what you're good at, right? Like use your skills. So I love that about this chariot card.
Totally, thank you.
I'm just moving some of my okay, yeah. So the chariot and the strength card were some challenging cards for you. No
Also,
worries.
Temperance was so beautiful, but it had so many natural elements, so many details, and it wasn't hard, but it was long. It was a long illustration. It took me.
Mm. Oh, oh yeah. Okay, now I remember. I couldn't remember the temperance card. Yes, that I can see why that one took long. Um, but it's so beautiful. It's so this is one of the other cards that I really enjoyed because it really for me this one builds on that the energy that we were talking about for the watercolor, that it has that really calming vibe, just the medium itself. And so for me this card really built on the medium. Like I feel like you can tell that you poured a lot more time and energy into doing all these elements, and I feel like the watercolor really kind of pops in this one and really has that effect of like not being overbearing but still so present and so like noticeable. um and yeah, this is, and I love one of the things that I remember noticing about this deck or this card when I saw it, his little chubby cheeks
Yeah.
are just so adorable. Kim says I have the temperance original on my wall. I don't blame you. This is a really beautiful illustration. Kim says, was that the card where I told you to make the panda as fat and chubby and cuddly as possible?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I mean, he looks so like absolutely adorable. I love that. But yeah, I can definitely see how that definitely took a lot more time just because of everything. And so, this is a quick PS. You painted all of these and then you scanned them? Is that
Yeah,
how?
I paint it and then I scan it, and if the illustration needs, I edit it with Photoshop digitally. I erase something,
Mm.
color, contrast, and things like this.
Oh, okay. So that's really awesome. So it was like a mixture of like half
Yeah,
like illustrated in hand, and then you finished touching it up on like on Photoshop or whatever photo editing program you may have. Um, but I think you said Photoshop. So
Photoshop.
that's really cool. I forgot to ask you about like what your actual process was of like what did you do? Like found a canvas and then painted and then did scan. And so now you're explaining that you actually, the finished result wasn't the painting. You would scan that and then edit it on
Mm,
Photoshop.
yeah.
That
And,
makes sense.
yeah. And yeah,
Um,
in paper size, A4 size, which is the
mm,
size of my scanner. And so I can scan it much easily and then yeah, retype with Photoshop. And I sent to Kimberly the digital version with the side of the size of the card. So
oh, okay. So did you take care of all of the formatting for printing and stuff too, or did they do that?
no, she did that. I only put the names in the cards and I sent to her, but she made all the printing.
Like the
Thing
sizes, like making sure all the sizes were right and all that stuff. She did that on her own. Oh,
correct
okay, that's cool.
size, but everything else, like the box, for example, it was all on her, and
Oh, okay.
all the other things.
Oh, okay. And that's another thing too, is that the box itself is original illustration as well, right? And so it's not like a card from the deck. And I thought that was amazing because, and also I love this new Imagine edition with the glossy.
Yeah.
It's amazing with all the awesome stuff on the inside. So that's really cool that see, like in my mind, like I just assumed that the illustrators did all the formatting like for the printing and stuff too. So it's interesting um to see like because I don't know how to format stuff for printing either. So and so like it'll be interesting to kind of because that was just an assumption that I had made. And so now I'm like, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't assume that the illustrator is gonna format it
Hmm.
for the printing. So Kim says she did the front for the deck. It's her calligraphy. Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. I thought this was like a font or something.
Yeah, and I did it, and then we created a font, and now we have the Panda Tarot font.
What? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. You created a font, Celia. That's so awesome. Oh, that's so cool. There's so many awesome things associated with this deck. So we were talking about, oh yeah, we just went on a quick PS because I was asking you about like your process of making a card and stuff. I forgot.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just if you have any more challenging cards that you wanted to talk about.
Well, as I said, now Kimberly and I are working together again. Uh,
Yes.
with the Panda Oracle deck, and
Yay!
yeah, so exciting. And we're working on it. Just have a few illustrations from now on. But yeah, I hope it's as cool as the way of the Panda Tarot. And and yeah, I that's the only thing I'm working on right now because as I told before, I'm working as a graphic designer in a company, so
Mm-hmm.
I have much time to
Right.
create as I would like. But yeah, we're making these, and I'm doing my illustrations when I can or when I feel I have to, and that's pretty much it.
Yay, that's so exciting. I'm so ready to like support you through that process.
Thank you so
You know,
much.
there's no rush because we're still kind of reeling in the beauty of this one. So I feel like we'll be okay to wait on the Oracle. But so the last question before we go into like asking you like how we can support you and stuff like that, I just wanted to ask, um, how has doing illustrating this deck and stuff like how has this changed your life and how has it changed like the way you're moving through your life?
Well,
Yeah.
actually, as I told you, after I studied bakery, I started working as a in a store, and I didn't draw. And it was actually because of Kimberly wrote me that I started to paint again. So
Yes.
it's thanks to her that I'm painting right now. Because if not, I don't know, maybe I couldn't be able to paint right now. I don't know. So it's
Mm,
my my life.
wow, that's I got to take a moment with that one because that made me a little emotional. That's so awesome, Celia. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Because like I said in the beginning of the live, like I can see like in your vibe and in your face and in your eyes, like when you're talking about your art and your work, like you're doing what you want and you're doing what you love. And so I think that it's so beautiful that like this project was part of the catalyst that helped you kind of reaffirm like, no, this is what I want for me, like, and this is how. And it's so beautiful because that's something that a lot of the other deck creators that I've interviewed have kind of expressed too, where they're like, this project has let me go into my true career path and the work that I really want to be doing. Like I think all of them, all of the interviews that I've done for people have been similar to where the deck has launched them into the life that they've been wanting to create for themselves. And so I think it's so awesome that it's doing it for the illustrators too. It's not just the deck creators who are and so I think also that's part, for me, the highlighting the illustrators and the editors is almost like with like songwriters, right?
Hmm.
Like the famous people get all of the fame and attention and all the money and all the whatever, and then the people who actually wrote the song are just like, who's that? Like, and so for me, wanting to highlight that other creative side of like manifesting these things is part of why I think it's so awesome that you've been able to really like step into your authenticity and step into the life you want. And even though um you don't have maybe as much time to do the illustrations and to do all of that, you're still working in the field that you love, and you have time and space to still work on projects like this that are more close to your heart. And you have people who are going to be anxiously waiting to support you through that process and help kind of bring share the abundance, right, with the people around them, and supporting the projects that we love and that reflect authenticity. And that's kind of what we need in the tarot community too, is like supporting people who are doing things in their authenticity so that we can do the same thing, right? Like, I'm inspired by you. I want to live my life because I see you living yours, and I'm like, I want to do that too, like, so yeah, that's really awesome.
Thanks.
You're so welcome. So, I want to tie it up here. And well, you told us about the upcoming project, so I'm really excited about that. But in the meantime, I just wanted to ask you if there's any way that we, the people following you, and the people viewing you now, or people viewing you in the future, where we can find you and how we can support you, what we can do to help you on your journey.
Okay, so well, you can find me here on Instagram. It's where I'm more active. Although this past month I haven't had time to be here, but yeah, Instagram is the tool that I use the most. So you can find me here, and I have also an Etsy shop that
Mm.
probably be closed now in August because I have vacations and I go to Portugal and spend a few times of beach and relax. But yeah, I have my Etsy shop, and the way you can support me is well buying my art if you like it. Also, the original illustrations of the Way of the Panda Tarot are on the on the Etsy shop.
Mm.
Buy them. There are not all of them because there are so many illustrations, and I'm putting them slowly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, and that's smart too because that way, like, you have stock. Like,
Yeah,
you have stock, so you don't have to make new stuff.
yeah. And well, so you can help me liking my posts, sharing to other people, my profile, and yeah, and sharing the content that I create, because that's
Awesome. Yes. Well, we really look forward to supporting you, Celia. Um, I hope that the people watching this are inspired to live in their authenticity as Celia is. I hope that people who are deck creators and are wanting to work with an illustrator feel a little bit better now, knowing that two completely random people can actually connect and have a really organic and amazing working experience together. And so it's possible, like, don't be afraid to reach out, right, to artists, because I feel like a lot of us sometimes have this like fear of like, oh, maybe they're just too busy or they have a lot going on, but just reach out. Don't fear reaching out to an artist that you've seen and like their stuff, because who knows what it could turn into. It could be a really amazing relationship. And so just before we go, Celia, I wanted to see if maybe you had just one quick piece of advice for people like me who are deck creators and they're wanting to work with illustrators and create their deck.
okay. So I would say don't no rush, yeah,
Hmm.
and just try to when you are trying to explain to the illustrator what you have in mind. Um, Using images is a very good idea. Using
Mm.
reference images all the time, uh, and this is very helpful. And also, I would say in some things that you know that the illustrator is good. For example, Kimberly knows that I love drawing flowers. I'm a
Mm.
flower queen, and every flower she says, "Draw some flowers here. You'll be good."
Yeah. Yeah.
So trust the artist, and be honest also. If you don't like the result, it's okay. I mean, sometimes it happens to say, well, I'm not really happy with the result. We can work again on this, and it's happened. This happens, and it's also super good, and it's part of the process.
Wow. All of those pieces of advice were so like on point, and it really like reflects, especially what you said about no rush. How long did it take you, by the way, from like when she contacted you to like the deck is done and ready for printing?
More than 1 year,
Yeah,
maybe,
see? So
or so. Yeah.
yeah, and so that's also because like I've interviewed some people like I think the Wild Wolf Tarot, like from the beginning of the like when she first got the download to the Kickstarter was like 6 months. And then like the other tarot, I think the Gentle Tarot, she literally finished illustrating them during the Kickstarter. And so like I feel like a lot of people feel like they need to like get these things out. But I love that what you said, like no rush, especially when you're not the illustrator and like they have a life too, right? It's not like they're just there living to manifest what you're doing. So, um, I love that piece of advice of like just be patient, no rush. um,
Because at least on me, I'm not able to paint when I'm in a rush, or when
mm.
to finish it so quickly. I mean, I can't. It's not. I need to stay and relaxed, and that's very important, I think.
Yes, I agree. And I think, on top of everything, um, that relaxed feeling like comes through right through the images. Like if you're rushed and you're trying to do things, like it's not going to be as like developed and the way you really want it to be because you were rushing and stuff. And I guess that maybe is different for people. Like maybe some artists work better under pressure. Um,
Yeah,
so
really.
like it may be different, but I feel like for the most part it's good to have that like non-rushed, no pressure, like let's move, but like no rush, you know? So I love that. I think it's a really solid piece of advice, and it reminds us to like be patient too, because like for us, we don't really know how hard it is, like the work that goes into illustrating, because we're not illustrators. So for us, it might seem like, well, they can just do it. They're illustrators, like they just do it, you know. And so I think it's really important to keep. It's almost like humble, right? Like stay humble and allow yourself that space. Don't try to rush um, to get things done and stuff. So yeah, Celia, I think that wraps it up. I really loved this conversation, especially talking about your favorite cards and the challenging cards. That was really awesome. Because normally I don't get a lot of time in these interviews to go through cards and stuff because I have so
Mhm.
many questions and stuff. But I was like, you know what? For the illustrator ones, I have to go through the cards. Like I can't not do it. And so like I was really grateful for you. This is my first illustrator interview. So you're my very first illustrator interview, and it's I'm so honored to be able to host these spaces for you all. And I'm really looking forward to other illustrators on this series, but also looking forward to seeing your work and see you flourish in your life and support you along the way. So thank you so much for being here, Celia.
Much for inviting me.
Of course, and I hope that I know it was a little nerve-wracking and maybe this was your it was I think it was the first time you said, and so I hope it was a good experience and that maybe in the future like after the Oracle stuff we can have like a part 2 and see how things have gone since then um for you and kind of update and have another interview.
Yeah, of course.
Kim says petition for Celia to make her own deck. Maybe in the future.
Says that maybe in the future. I don't
We'll see. Yeah, earlier she said that she's been bugging you to make a deck. But yeah, I would support it. So,
know.
but yeah, Celia. So I think that this is a good place to end the conversation. We had a lovely chat, covered a lot of really great talking points, and yeah, really looking forward to everything else that's coming along for you, Celia.
Okay. Thank you so, so much for
You're
inviting
so
me.
welcome. Yes. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye.